Hey guys, Chaz Pippitt with Baseball Rebellion. I'm going to be breaking down Nolan Arenado of the Colorado Rockies. And last year, he really came on the scene, hit 42 home runs and 43 doubles, 130 RBIs, and really made himself a true force to be reckoned with. And I'm very excited to have him as somebody that we're breaking down this year because he's grown into one of my favorite players. I've actually remembered back in 2000, I don't know, maybe 11, when he was in Double A, and Josh Horton was playing as well, and they were in the same league, and they were vying for who was going to lead in doubles that year. So I really knew Arenado. I've known him for a while as far as being a really, really good player, and he's somebody I've had my eye on for quite some time. And then after he took off last year and has started this year with such a roar out of the gate, I wanted to make sure that we broke him down and showed you guys some really interesting things about his swing. And there's two or three main things that I'm going to talk about with Nolan. So obviously, as he gets into his stride, he does a really good job of getting into his front side and really lengthening out his backside and getting into a little bit more flex in the front foot. But he's very, very strong through the heel, very similar to Harper in my last breakdown. He's very, very strong through the heel and has a really solid flex in the front knee, and he's really unafraid of the forward movement. So if you look at where he starts, I put a box around where he starts versus where he lands and where he finishes, he's almost completely out of that box, and his back foot has a lot of opportunity to move. But I want to talk about how he does that and why his back foot has so much ability to move, and really how he's using his upper body and his torso to turn instead of extending with his arms. So some guys are real big extension hitters, and a lot of instructors really talk a lot about extension, but at Baseball Rebellion we believe extension is not only not necessary at all, it's not even present in a lot of great swings. So what you're going to notice with Nolan is from this bent front leg, okay? So here's where his leg is now, and I'm going to outline it in yellow, okay? So that's the flex angle in his leg. And what you're going to notice is this dramatic and powerful drive back with his front hip and front knee, okay, through the heel of his front foot. And the reason I make that extremely important to note through the heel is you can see his front, the front of his front foot, like the toe, spin out pretty hard. But he's in the heel of his front foot, and look at how hard he straightens out. He almost gets into hyperextension of the front knee because he's driving his front hip back and front knee back so hard to help his rotation. Now, another thing that's really interesting with Arenado is, what you'll notice is his arms are here, all right? And they basically stay at those angles through the whole swing. There's no extension. Okay? And what's really interesting about that is a lot of people think from here you have to push your hands out. I've seen lessons taught all over the country where people talk about pushing your hands out. And really, he not only never extends, he never rolls over either. So Arenado is able to hit this ball with a torso turn and a back leg movement, back hip turn, back knee turn, all this stuff coming through. All right? And what you see from the back shoulder is he side bends down and in, and he really supports his barrel with his upper body because he keeps a very, very solid box, hitter's box, okay, here, and his shoulder has gone down and in to support that box. All right, so a lot of people, they'll turn very horizontally, and their arms will be in a totally different position than his are. They'll stay taller with the shoulder, so the shoulder will be more up here, the arm will be in the same spot, and then the forearm will actually be pointed downward like this in the yellow instead of up like you see with the red, which is what he's able to do to create that lift and support his barrel through the swing and through contact. You can see how early he gets behind the ball, and while this looks very direct, okay, you can see clearly before contact his barrel has bottomed out and is coming upward to support the launch angle that he's trying to create. So one of the things I looked at with Harper was launch angle of the ball. So I'll say contact was here. So there's a horizontal line. And then here is the shape of the ball there. So we can do an angle measurement here and see what his launch angle was. 1, 2, 3, 24 degrees. So that's obviously a great launch angle. And this ball ended up way back in the seats. The last thing I want to show you, I got to go back a little bit because I want you to be able to see his vision. And this is why I didn't start with this, because it's a lot of movement in the camera. Okay, so his eyes are locked. His nose has turned in, his eyes have turned back. He is locked on where the ball was. I'll get this lines out of the way, and then you'll notice his head is still down. So ball's gone, he's already hit it, head's still down, and then the continued rotation of the shoulders keeps his head out of the way, or pulls his head out of the way. So at no point does he use his neck muscles to turn his head to the left and watch where the ball goes. It's just his shoulders finishing rotation and getting back to the pitcher. So what you'll see from the back view is you'll be able to see a little bit of his timing and tempo. So his legs up in the air, ball's not even out yet. He's moving forward. He gets the bat in the way of the mitt, and then bang, off it goes. But if you really zero in right here, you can see his back foot moving kind of diagonally back, which is a little bit different than we tend to teach. But that's what Arenado's foot does, and it does what it does. So while it does move forward, he cuts his turn off just a little bit with his hips, which is why he's not able to truly lean all the way back in this swing. And if we jump back here just a little bit to the side view, you can see that his posture is just a little bit forward through contact or after contact. He's very vertical through contact, and then he ends up a little bit forward, and that's because of that diagonal movement of the back foot instead of the forward movement of the back foot. It allows him to use his natural width a little bit better. But again, he's got a super high level front leg, super high level drive through his heel of his front side, spectacular upper body and vision. I mean, this is as good a vision as you'll see at any point from any major league hitter. And then again, his shoulders turning and replacing each other. So front shoulder is at this level, back shoulder is at this level, and when they come through, they completely replace each other, which is good. Now, if he had pulled his back foot a little bit more forward and a little bit more towards home plate, his back shoulder would be able to drop a little more, his front shoulder would be able to go a little higher, and he'd be leaned back a little bit better in his finish than he is now. But he's one of the best hitters in the world, and what he's doing obviously works for him. Again, that extension is not something that is a mandatory part of hitting, and it's something that Arenado doesn't have any of on this swing. He does a great job getting his bat in the zone early and swinging up through contact, supporting the launch angle, supporting his barrel by dropping his shoulder in using side bend, and just a very explosive turn. So Nolan Arenado is here to stay, and he's here for big things. And even though he lands with his foot a little bit more closed than we would like, and his back foot kind of comes behind his front foot a little bit, he's not in any risk for injury because he drives through his heel so much and allows his front leg and front foot to release and spin out that way, similar to how Jock Peterson does, but obviously even at a better and more high-level way to do it. So thank you again. This is Chaz Pippitt from Baseball Rebellion. Hope you enjoyed the Nolan Arenado breakdown.